So welcome back to another video on the channel. It's actually been quite a while since I've uploaded last. I've been so busy just recently building out Centurion Agency, and I've been recording a bunch of modules for that program, and I've been a bit slack on the YouTube channel. However, I've seen one idea recently that's been highly in demand, and that's an action flow to follow in order to get to $10,000 per month with your SMMA, like a step-by-step action flow. Every day you wake up, what do you do? Going from absolute zero to $10,000 per month, what do you do every single day when you wake up? Where should your focus be going? Because obviously when you're starting out, there's a lot of different areas that you need to get down packed within your agency. There's a lot of different things that are going on, right? You've got sales, you've got client acquisition, you've got lead sourcing, you've got service delivery, you've got team building, you've got team managing, you've got finding media buyers, client communication, client satisfaction, client retention. There's a lot of different areas that are a part of an agency and running a successful agency, that is. And so in this video, I want to give you a step-by-step action flow that you need to follow. And if you do follow it, it gives you the best chance of going from $0 to $10,000 per month with your agency. By you focusing solely on the action flow that I'm about to lay out in this video, you pretty much cover every single area, and you cover every single area in comparison to its importance, right? Every area of running a successful agency is important. If you can't get results, then your client retention is going to be terrible, and you're not going to be able to sign clients very easily. If you can sign clients really easily, you can get great results, but you have a terrible team culture, then that's going to have a negative impact on the long-term success of your agency. If you can get amazing results, but you don't have very many clients coming in, then again, that's going to harm your MRR, which stands for your monthly recurring revenue. So every single aspect needs to be in place, but there's certain aspects that are more important than others when you're going from 0 to 10K per month. So as I say, by you focusing on this action flow that I'm about to lay out in this video, obviously you need to make sure that you're not neglecting any areas or anything like that. But as I say, by you focusing on the action plan I'm about to lay out in this video, you are going to focus on every single area with its respective importance in, as I say, going from 0 to $10,000 per month with your SMMA. So with that being said, let's jump straight in. So as always, guys, make sure you go ahead and smash the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel down below. Tremendously helps out with the YouTube algorithm, and also helps push my videos out to more people so I can help more people just like you go from 0 to 10K per month with their agency with this specific video, because that's literally what this video is going to do. And with that being said, let's actually jump into it now, and let me just walk you through the exact action flow that you need to focus on in order to go from 0 to $10,000 per month. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to rewire your brain in terms of how you're currently thinking about building a business. First of all, building a business and starting your business literally makes me want to throw up in my mouth, because it's so many people say, oh, I run a business, or I do this, or I'm starting my own company, but every single person, like nobody actually does it, right? They just make it look as though they're doing stuff. And I think that gets translated across a lot of different people, and a lot of different people have that same mindset, like, oh, I'm starting my company, but all they've done is just got a domain or something like whatever it is, right? And a lot of the time people get hung up on those ideas, right? They get hung up on trying to get their company set up. They try and get their business set up, and they try and focus on all these different things to, get their business set up. But it doesn't matter, right? None of that matters, guys. I didn't get my company set up until I was maybe 6 months into the process, and I was already at, I think I was at around 10,000 a month, maybe 15, 20,000 a month when I got my company set up, right? So it just doesn't matter, right? You don't need to focus on getting all these things, getting business cards and getting a fancy, fancy smancy website. It just does not matter. Step one of this action flow is, if you're genuinely a complete beginner, you have nothing currently set up or anything like that, all you need to do, go to G Suite. Now it's called Workspace, I believe, Google Workspace. Go to G Suite, or Google Workspace, buy a domain, right? And get an email with that domain. And that's it. Now you can start the action flow that I'm about to go through here in this video. That's it, right? You have an agency now, right? That's all you need to do. Don't get hung up on trying to do all this other stuff, because none of it ties into helping you grow your agency. None of it ties in and actually helps you scale and ramp up your agency. It doesn't have any impact, so there's no point focusing on it when you're trying to go from 0 to 10K per month with your agency. And when it comes to naming your agency and whatnot, again, you don't want to spend too much time on it, but if you can, I would recommend you not use your last name in it. The reason I say that is because right now I'm actually going through I'm rebranding Bax Consulting because I don't like that my name is attached to it and it harms potentially selling the agency later on and whatnot. If your name's attached to it, it just makes things a lot more difficult. So I'm actually going through the process right now of rebranding my agency to not be Bax Consulting, rather to be something else. I won't get into it just yet. You'll see it in the next couple months here. It's a pretty big process, but if you are able to start with a good name that's not attached to your name, then you're not going to have to go through this process that I've now got to go through in rebranding, because I've got a lot of stuff set up and it's all connected to Bax Consulting. So it's a pretty big process that I've now got to go through. So that's one thing on the agency name. But again, guys, don't spend too much time on it, right? There's no point. It's just vanity metrics. That's like all it is. It's just vanity stuff that doesn't actually help you get to $10,000 per month. So now I'm going to get into the action flow, and essentially I look at it as a 2-month action flow. And wherever you're at currently, obviously everybody watching this video is going to be at a different stage in terms of their journey. So you want to just basically look at this action flow and slot in where it makes most sense for you right now within where you're at in your journey, if that makes sense, right? But I'm going to go from literally, if you're at 0, you have no idea about SMMA, and getting to 10,000 per month. That's the goal of this video. So if you're a little bit further ahead or whatever it is, maybe you got one client and you start at 2,000 a month, you want to get to 10, whatever it is, just slot yourself in where it makes most sense. So month 1, right? It's a 2-month action flow. And then from there, it rolls on, right? But month 1, what you want to do, if you have, bear in mind, again, this is complete beginner, you have no idea. You want to consume. You know, as I said to you before, when you wake up each day and you're trying to build your agency, what do you do? Well, in month 1, what you do every single day is, first things first, you complete all the mandatory tasks that you have to do. So maybe you're at school still. Obviously, you need to go to school, right? Maybe you have a full-time job and you're trying to build the agency on the side. Whatever it is, complete the mandatory tasks that obviously need to be done. And then from there, whatever the rest of the time is that you have, so maybe you go to school 8 till 3, right? And then you got 3 till 8 p.m. at night, or 3:30 till 8 p.m. at night, whatever it is. That 3:30 till 8 p.m. at night is 100% consuming knowledge. Okay, consuming knowledge is honestly so important when it comes to ramping up your agency and any business for that matter. Now, bear in mind, this is not me selling either of my programs, the Quantum Leap Ecom Agency program or the Centurion Agency program, okay? Definitely not Centurion, and it's only for agency owners who are at 5K per month minimum. But even Quantum Leap, it's not me selling these, because guys, like literally my YouTube channel, the channel that you're watching right now, completely for free, bear in mind, right? This entire YouTube channel has gotten people clients. It's gotten people clients for their agency. They've able to go from 0 to like 3 clients, from $0 a month to like 5K a month, just from my YouTube channel. So when I say consume, I literally just mean consume my channel, other people's channels. I can't talk for their channels in terms of how valuable they are, because I don't know, but I know for my channel, for my content, my free content on this YouTube channel, right, has signed people clients, has enabled them to go from 0 to 3K a month, 0 to 5K a month, quit their job, whatever it is, right? So when I say consume, I just mean consume free sources around how to build an agency. Now, the reason I say you want to do this for the entirety of the first month, if you're a complete beginner, is because knowledge, right? Knowledge and reference points is the only difference between an agency owner who's at 0 a month and an agency owner who's at 100,000 a month. Or 50,000 a month, or me, for example, right? Right now, I'm swinging anywhere from like 60 to 70,000 a month. And the only difference between me and say, if you are right now sat at 0 with no clients, the only difference is knowledge and reference points. That's it. Right? Because now when I go to, for example, outreach, I know exactly how to do it in the best possible way. Knowledge, right? That's all it is, right? And then, for example, getting results. We have a step-by-step procedure that we follow every single time we sign on a new client. And guess what? It gets results. We just know how to do that. We understand how to do that. It's just knowledge. And so knowledge and reference points are the 2 biggest differentiators between me and somebody who's at $1 million a month, for example. It's just knowledge and reference points. That's it. Right? It's the same thing with somebody who's at 0 a month and somebody who's at 50,000 a month, for example. Now, reference points come as a byproduct primarily of experience, and that's something that we're going to get onto here in month 2 in the action flow. But knowledge is something that you can start right now, which is, again, why I say month 1, 100% of the time that you spend on your agency, not your days as a whole, because I understand, as I said before, there's mandatory requirements. For example, if you're just starting out, then you may have a full-time job. If you're just starting out, you may be at school. If you're just starting out, you may be doing some other stuff, right? Whatever it is, that's completely fine. Get those done. the time that you spend on your agency, you have to consume. And additionally, if you acquire knowledge before you go to market, then that's going to essentially enable you to start on rung 7 as opposed to rung 1, right? You have like a trampoline boost, right? When you go to market, just because you've spent some time acquiring knowledge, right? Whereas if you was to go to market and you were starting on rung 1, then you're going to have to get to rung 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? To then be at the same level that you would be at if you just spent a month consuming knowledge, right? Obviously that's an arbitrary example, but you get the point. It's tremendously important. That's the first thing. Now, month 2, this is where stuff starts to get super exciting and fun, because you start to, dive into actually building the agency and that process. And for me, that's my most fulfilling thing, is building stuff, right? Just building stuff in general is like so fulfilling for me. And that's what I absolutely love. And when you start to see stuff coming together, right? You start to see things like starting to tie in together. You built this over here, you built that, you built this, you built this, you built this, and you built that. And then when you start to see all of that kind of converge and build into one thing, and then you see that start to work and you start to iterate on that, like for me, that's what I love so much, right? And so in month 2, that's where you can start this process. So now in month 2, this is where it's going to start to come into splitting your time up. And this is again ties in with what I said before about, spending 100% of your time on building your agency, but splitting that down into certain things that you need to focus more time on this rather than this. And so you focus your time on the most important things, but you do it in a way that it's like, things that are not as important, you don't spend as much time on. Things that are more important, you spend more time on, etc. So now we want to look at splitting our time up. So again, let's assume obviously you've got 100% of your time. Now, whatever that 100% is going to range from person to person. Again, maybe you're at school, maybe you're not. Maybe you're at work 9 to 5, maybe you're only at work 8 till 12, whatever it is, right? It's going to range from person to person. But when I talk about 100%, I just mean whatever it is that you can spend per day on your agency, that is your 100%. Whether that's 8 hours for you and 4 hours for this person over here, doesn't matter, right? 100% of your time that you spend on your agency. You now want to look at splitting this up. So month 2, first things first, I want to mention, we don't now just stop consuming, right? Because knowledge, like I still consume at this point, right? As I said to you before, I'm swinging around anywhere from 60 to 70. I think this month's actually going to be potentially 70 plus. But as I say, I'm still consuming at this point, right? So that never ends, but it just becomes not as a important priority. So we don't spend as much time on it. So 100% of the time. Now in month 2, instead of spending 100% on consuming knowledge, now we only spend 10% on that. Okay, 10% on actually consuming knowledge, understanding deeper, better concepts, understanding, again, just continuing to consume this YouTube channel, for example, somebody else's YouTube channel, whatever it is, any programs, whatever, consuming, okay? 10% of your time. Then we want to spend, and this is where majority of your time is going to go. Reason being is because this is one of the most important things when trying to go from 0 to 10K per month. You need to now spend 55% of your time on getting your agency in front of your ideal client, okay? Getting your agency in front of your ideal client, getting your ideal client's eyes onto your agency. Now, this is obviously gonna come in the form of outbound prospecting and also inbound methods. Now, at the end of this video, guys, I'm actually gonna give you a step-by-step free course to follow so that you're naturally able to action on this action plan and you're able to consume, because on my YouTube channel, I've got a lot of videos, okay? And I know it could be a bit confronting. I just want to basically give you the best of the best. So you only, again, focus your time on the most important stuff. So 55% of your time, however, needs to be spent on client acquisition. Now, again, there's 2 ways of client acquisition, outbound prospecting and inbound method. So outbound prospecting is simply email outreach. Okay, now I'm not gonna go into super deep specifics in this video because again, that's gonna be part of the free course. So outbound prospecting, and also you wanna look at inbound methods, which basically encompasses creating helpful and useful content for your ideal client and basically giving it to them. Okay, now how do we do that? Well, that's things like YouTube, okay? That's things like Facebook, okay? That's things like pushing it in your outbound prospecting emails. So sending an email to a brand who can actually benefit from your services, right? And telling them, hey, look, I know that a lot of e-com owners right now are struggling with their CRO or struggling with, getting a better click-through rate on their advertising. Here's basically a resource that I built for you that pretty much helps you do that. Now, if you found this resource helpful, I'd love to dig deeper into your specific brand, see where you're struggling right now within Nike, for example, and see if we can be of any help. please go ahead, book in a call, whatever it is, right? So that is how you basically leverage useful content. You create content for your ideal client, you get their eyes on it, and then you transition it to a book call. You always, in your outbound prospecting, you always want to, and any client acquisition, to be honest, you always want to have the end goal being a booked call. That's what we want. Okay, so always keep that in mind, right? And again, this is where now 55% of your time needs to go when it comes to going from 0 to 10K per month in the best possible fashion. Because at the end of the day, at that point, the most important thing is that you get clients on board. There's no point worrying about logos and this and that, and there's no point worrying about that if no eyes are on your agency, if you're not getting clients, right? Because that getting the best logo in the world, getting the best website in the world isn't going to get you to 10,000 per month. However, guess what's going to get you to 10,000 per month? Getting clients. How do you get clients? Well, first of all, their eyes need to be on your agency. And then from there, you can start to work them into a book call. And then on the book call, you're going to then be able to sell them. Now, guess what? Sales isn't actually part of this action flow, but because we're still consuming and because we spent an entire month consuming knowledge about building an agency, you now know and understand from a theoretical point of view how to sell. So you can see how all this ties in together. And even the things that we don't directly cover in the action flow, it still gets covered in the consuming knowledge section, which again is why it's so important that you follow this action flow step by step. And finally, so we've got 55% of our time going on to client acquisition. Then we've got 10% of our time going into consuming knowledge. This is month 2, by the way, after we've completed month 1 of 100% consuming knowledge. So at that point, there's 35% left. Now, where's that going to go? That now goes onto building an infrastructure. Okay, so when you sign on a client, which is inevitably going to happen via your 55% of time being spent on client acquisition, you're going to sign a client, right? It's going to happen, okay? Especially if you follow what I go through in the description, which is basically the free course that I'm going to give you, you're going to sign a client. Now, the issue comes of what do you do once you sign the client? How do you get the results? How are you going to make that client stay on with you for the next 6, 12, 18, 24 months? How are you going to do that? Well, in order to do that, you need to get results. Now, how are you going to get results? Well, now this is where this 35% of time being spent, that's what that's going to go on to, is focusing and understanding and trying to build a service delivery process that is going to be able to get the inevitable clients that you're going to sign on board results, because that's what they're paying you for. Now, if you don't have a good results driven agency, you're not going to have an agency that gives you profit. You're not going to have an agency that gets past 5K a month, and you're going to be spinning your wheels. Now, if you do have a results driven agency, then you're going to be set. You have no issue. Okay. So you need to make sure that 35% of your time now in month 2 and moving forward, the months following, goes on to building a good infrastructure. Now, how do you do that? Well, it depends on you as an individual, because for example, if you yourself are a media buyer and you're trying to build your own agency, then for your first 2, 3, 4 clients, you don't really need a media buyer because you can get the results yourself. So just keep the profit, right? And so then in that case, you don't really need to focus 100% of that 35% on building an infrastructure, because you are the infrastructure and it's already there. You just need clients. So then you can pretty much take that 35% down to like 5% and tack on that extra 30% onto client acquisition. Now, if you are like most beginning agency owners and they actually don't know how to run effective advertising and whatnot, well, you need to use that 5% to build a solid infrastructure. You need to use that 35% to find a really good media buyer whom you can bring onto your team. That way, when you bring a client on board, you've got a solid, experienced and effective media buyer who's going to be able to get your client results. Okay. You've got to be 100% results driven with your agency. If you're not, you're going to get crushed. Okay. If you're not, you're going to get crushed. And guys, pretty much that's all you need to do, right? That's it. Because everything else, as I said to you before, like service delivery, sales, right? Everything else like sales, client retention, things like this, which are very, very important factors to running or building and running a very successful agency. They're super important factors to that, but they still get covered in this action flow because that gets covered in the consuming section. For example, sales, you're going to consume content around how to sell clients. And then also tying that in with focusing 55% of your time on client acquisition, guess what? You're going to get meetings booked. And so then you can hop on those meetings and use the theoretical knowledge that you've gained from consuming and apply it to real world situations and real life situations. Yeah. And then from there, you're going to be able to build real life experience. And then you're going to be able to build real life reference points. As I said to you before, this is how this all ties in together. The two differences between me and you at 0 per month, the difference between me at 60,000 to 70,000 per month and somebody at $1 million a month It's just knowledge and reference points. So now you start the process of building reference points, and you've already been starting the process of building your knowledge. Okay, so you can see again how this all ties in and how this is inevitably going to get you to the heights that you want to get to with your agency by following this action flow. Things like client retention also gets covered in this action flow, because if you build out a solid infrastructure, you have a really, really powerful infrastructure within your agency. That obviously means that you're going to be able to deliver good results for your clients. When you deliver good results for your clients, you have a high client retention rate. It just all falls in together. So guys, this action flow literally covers everything you need. Now, I know I didn't go very specific in this video in terms of, how to conduct email outreach in the best possible way, how to deliver client results in the best possible way, how to build your team in the most effective way, where to find the best media buyers. I didn't go into specifics in all those things. I wanted to keep this very high level and talk about where your time needs to be spent in order to go from 0 to 10K per month. Now, in terms of specifics, in the time that you now spend consuming content, wherever you're at, wherever you slot in, right, into this action flow, maybe you slot in straight into month 2, and now you're spending 10% of your time on consuming, right? Or maybe you're a complete beginner and you're starting at the beginning, right? And so you're spending 100% of month 1 on consuming content. I want to give you the most actionable, the most pivotal, the most impactful content that I've ever built, right, on this YouTube channel. And I'm literally gonna label it for client acquisition, focus on these pieces of content; for sales, focus on these pieces of content; for service delivery, focus on these pieces of content, right? I'm gonna link everything in the description of this video to try and give you guys the best roadmap to follow. I want to try and give you everything that I can. Obviously, I can't do the work for you, so that's gonna come from your end, but I want to try and make that as easy as it physically can for you to go from 0 to 10K per month. So as I say, I'm going to link everything in the description of this video in terms of the best videos that I've ever built for each topic, for each section that we've gone through: client acquisition, client retention, communication, service delivery, sale, everything, right? Building a team, finding a media buyer, everything. Okay, so link in the description. So focus your consuming knowledge sections of your days that we went through in this action flow. Focus your consuming knowledge sections on the description of this video, on those videos, and that's going to go into ridiculous detail into each section. So with that being said, I deeply hope you found value in this video. I hope it gives you the step-by-step action flow that I know so many of you have been wanting, and I hope I'll actually get you to 10K per month. I know it will. It just now requires you to actually put in the work and keep consistent with it over a long period of time. So with that being said, guys, as always, if you did find value in this video, please go ahead, smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. And with that being said, I will see you in the next video.